up guys, my name is Dakota and I'm here with Modern Combat Solutions. Today we're going to talk about the Tacamo Storm Conversion Kit, and I'm going to show you everything you need to know to get your Alpha Black or Tippmann 98 into the Storm body. And let's go ahead and start with the unboxing of the Storm Kit, and from there we'll get into putting the Alpha Black into the Storm. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Dear God, it's beautiful.
Alright guys, so before you even start worrying about putting your Alpha Black or Tippmann 98 into the Storm body, we have to make sure that you have every part that we ship to you. So let's go ahead and do a part check and make sure that we're ready to put the Alpha Black into the Storm body. The first part to check for is the most basic part. It's the Storm body itself. Do you have both halves of the Storm? If so, you're good. Second part to check for, the D-mag. It will be located right below your Storm in the box. You can see it in the unboxing section I just did earlier. Alright, now the last parts. We have the plastic side body air plugs, and these will be used whether or not you have the old valve from an older marker, or if you're going to be using a response trigger or not. Here's where the plastic side body air plugs will be going. The biggest one is meant for the valve, and the small two are meant for if you want to use a response trigger. Then we have the shaped body O-ring, which will be put around these if you have to use them. On my Alpha Black I will not be using these, but if you do need to use them. Right inside here around the threads themselves is where the shaped body O-ring will go. We then have the body screw hex wrench. It's for screw locations B and M, which I'll show you the diagram right now. And basically this is so that you can get both halves of the Storm body apart and your Tippmann 98 or Alpha Black apart, because this is universal between both kits. We then have the Key Mod 2-piece hex wrench set. That basically this is for if you want to put key mods on the handguard of the Storm. So if you want to put foregrips, laser sights, launchers, whatever you feel like putting on the sides or on the bottom of your marker, this is what you'll need to install the key mods. We then have the front bolt O-ring, which is used to improve velocity if the O-ring on your last marker has gone bad, or if you feel like your velocity is too low, just go ahead and slap this on the bolt. We then have the power spring itself, which is the same power spring that you'll have in your old markers like the O-ring. However, this is if your power spring has gone bad and you want to increase velocity or have a more powerful, reliable spring. Personally, I would recommend just putting both of these in just because they're new parts, but if you want to keep your old stuff, go for it. We then have 4 2-piece screws. This is for these 2 hex wrenches, and this is where you'll install the key mod parts if you wanted to install the key mods. And for those of you who are going to install key mods, this is how the rail system will look like on the side of the Storm. Looks pretty tactical and professional. And here's how it's going to look from the bottom rail. The final part is the double trigger and trigger guard. This kit is coming with the double trigger. If you're not a fan of the double trigger, you can basically just cut it off if you wanted to, but in later production we will be sending them out with individual triggers, so just imagine it being cut off right there. And also, for those of you who aren't a fan of the double trigger, when we release a single trigger later on in production, we will also be releasing the ergonomic trigger guard. This is for a closer purchase for CQB situations for your hands, and in my opinion I think it just looks a lot cooler. Let's go ahead and look at how you install it. So installing the ergonomic trigger guard is a 2-man job, and you see this little screw right here? You're going to be needing a 1/16 Allen key to be able to loosen or tighten this. So you want to start by starting it a little bit and having it kind of out of the threads, and then slide in the trigger guard behind the mag well, and while one person applies pressure to it, another person goes ahead and tightens down the Allen screw until you've got it tight enough to where it's not going to move any longer. You don't want to force it any longer because the screw is so small it might strip. And there you go, you got your ergonomic trigger guard installed. Alright, 2 more things before we move on to actually moving the Alpha Black internals to the Storm body kit. Before you even think about moving the internals, test your marker before you decide to put it in the Storm body kit. This will let you know the condition of the marker and whether or not you think the velocity is too low, or if the power spring needs to be replaced, or if the velocity O-ring needs to be replaced. Or if it's just not working, don't even bother putting it into the Storm kit. So make sure you know the condition of your marker before you disassemble it. Another thing, in terms of disassembly, use your old markers, use your manual. The storm kit's user manual is mostly just a guide in order to put the storm kit properly together. If you no longer have your original user manual, there are millions online that you can refer to, and they will help you out perfectly. All right, let's go ahead and move on to putting the Alpha Black into the Storm Body Kit. So for the sake of time, I've already removed the body screws from both the Alpha Black and the Storm. Let's go ahead and expose the inside of the Alpha Black, and you'll see that all the internals are there. Obviously the sear just kind of fell through, but that's okay, it's about to go in the Storm Kit anyways. All right, let's go ahead and montage it up, and you'll see how we put it into the Storm Kit. All right, quick little pro tip too. So right here, I took the trigger guard off, but right here, the pins right here, all 5 of these pins, I would advise kind of tapping in there with whatever tool you feel like, anything from like a screwdriver to a rubber mallet, because since this is first production, I was noticing that there actually was some paint on the inside, right on these areas where the pins connect to, so it was making the body pretty hard to seal in there. But now, as you can see, since I've tapped them on in there, just fits right on perfectly. And you can tell how tight of a fit is, because here you see it's actually stuck in there. So I would recommend having pliers or vice grips around if you need to yank it out if it's gotten stuck on the other side of the body. You can see how stuck it is in there, and all you gotta do is just vice grip it on out and you got your pin back. Speaking of pins, some bodies do not come with both of these pins. Obviously right now I only have one. The top one is really the only one that's necessary. However, they will come with 2 if they do come with them at all. Anyways, if your body does not come with these 2 pins, be sure to contact us and we'll get you all situated with them. So earlier I was just showing you that when I attached the body, that the pins were no longer an issue. However, you shouldn't tighten your body screws quite yet because we have to put the mag latch in there. So just in case your mag latch came disassembled, which it wouldn't, but I'm just doing it just in case, what you do is you put this spring in this little hole, and the mag latch itself goes right there. And then you put the action of the mag latch right in there. Then you put the pin that it came with right through it. And lay the mag latch right here where it belongs. It'll kind of fit snugly. And then just kind of tap it on in there. Another way to make things easier on yourself is I would take out the safety from right here and feed it through under the Storm Body Kit, because this makes it a lot easier to attach. So let's go ahead and attach the body now, and I will address that safety thing a little bit later as to why it's so much easier. And here we go. And there we go. All right, and before we tighten the body pins down, make sure your safety is in the firing position. It is crucial for the next stage of the installation. So let's go ahead and tighten the body pins down. So the safety will be extremely tight when you first get it. So what you do is just kind of play with it a whole bunch until it becomes an actually reliable mechanism. You notice how I'm using both of my index fingers to do this. The natural wear and tear of the marker will eventually make it so this is a smooth mechanism, but right out of the box it's gonna be very tight, and this is why I'm having you do this. I've got 2 more noteworthy things for you guys before we just call it good and you're ready to go rock your storm. First thing is the sear. So the Gen 1 sears, which you'll see here, is not acceptable for the storm body kit. The original sear was not as reliable and not as good of a mechanism as the Gen 2 sear. So if you do not have the Gen 2 sear, you have to buy the Gen 2 sear for yourself. We are not shipping it to you with it. So yeah, Gen 2 sear is the only sear that will work. One more thing about sears, if you have a sticky trigger, it's because you have a different version of the Gen 2 sear. So if that is the case, be sure to contact us and we will get you all situated. All right, one more thing involving the body screws themselves. So these 2 body screws actually serve as something else other than fastening both halves of the storm together. It actually has to do with how tightly gripped your magazine is in the mag well. So if you want your magazine to be a little bit looser fitting in there, just go ahead and loosen these guys a little bit. Make sure you loosen them both the same increments. And then if you want it tighter, just be sure to tighten them in the same increments too. All right, one last thing on your storm and then you're ready to go. With the key mod screws, do not install them on the handguards of your marker unless you're actually planning on putting the rail systems on your storm. They will cause weird divisions between both halves of the storm itself, and it'll just cause complications. So only put them on if you are planning on putting rail systems on your storm, which I will be making a separate video for later on. Alright guys, hopefully you're as excited for the storm as I am, and hope you enjoyed the video. Please be sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any more questions about the storm, please be sure to message Rap4, Modern Combat Solutions, Modern Combat Sports, or myself, or Tony. I will be sure to answer all your questions, and hope you enjoy the storm.